Hello everyone, welcome back to another Plan With Me video on My Design and Lettering channel. My name is Miri and today we're setting up my monthly setup for April. I chose to go with some easy little flower doodles and a spring color palette. But now let's have a little flip through my March setup. If you haven't seen that yet, I will link the video above and below in the info box. If you're here to plan with me, don't forget to grab your favorite stationeries, and if you're here to get some inspo or just want to enjoy watching, then grab yourself something to snack, sit back, relax and make yourself comfy. First, I wanted to create some colorful background paper to use it later on to decorate the pages. To create that, I used some plastic cover sheet. For this, as well as for the whole setup, I used these colors and maybe 2 or 3 more. But I will write the exact ones I used in the info box, so feel free to check that out. I started with placing some pigment on the plastic sheet with these color pencils. When I was satisfied that I had enough color on the sheet, I took a water bottle and sprayed it all generously. Then I took a sheet of my 100 GSM printer paper and laid it over it. It soaked up the color and created this lovely background pattern. I left that to dry. Let's begin with the cover page. I sketched out a flat brush beforehand and followed with sketching some little flower doodles. I outlined them with my STA pigment liner in the size 005 and some with a light gray Pigma micron in the size 01. Then I colored some of the flowers with yellow, green and orange brush pens, some with my new Pit Artist pens in apricot berry and pale pink. But I tried to keep it light. Next I colored the brush using the same colors as well as the color cinnamon. To keep it light, I placed some pigment of a ceramic plate and watered it down using a synthetic water brush. After that, I went back in with my 005 liner and placed some more strokes to create some shadows and texture. My little calendar I wrote with the 005 liner on some leftover Bujo paper. I cut it out and rounded the edges. I decided to use some of this coffee stained paper in this setup as well, because it created a nice contrast to the bright spring colors. I ripped a rectangle to place it behind my little calendar. Now it was time to create the title. Again, I used some printer paper and sketched out a big A in a serif font. I colored it in with this yellowish acrylic pen. As horizontal line of the A, I've drawn a curved banner where I wrote the remaining letters. As that had to dry before I could paint the banner without smudging the paint all over the paper and probably everywhere else, I started with creating the cover page instead. This time I wanted to try out my new alphabet stems. First I thought they worked pretty well and liked them very much, but later on I was a bit disappointed because the letters were different sized, and I must say that is a total no-go for me. As an example, the I was as tall as the T, and the Y and the W was smaller as the rest, or maybe the E and A are bigger than the rest. I don't know. However, while the ink needs to dry, I continued creating the title. With a pigment brush pen, I wrote Prill inside the banner. To color in the banner, I again placed some pigment on the plate and picked it up with the synthetic brush. Because I used a pigment brush pen, it was no problem to go over it with the water brush. If you don't have a pigment liner, I would suggest coloring the background first and write with a pen over that. Of course, after it had dried completely. I cut around the letter and cut a slightly bigger form of this A out of some coffee paper. Again, to place it as background. After that, I cut out a little bit of the right page to create some sort of tab for the main pages. Now it was time to finish the quote page. Herefore, I wrote the main words in pencil and went over it with a Faber-Castell Pitt Artist pen in pale pink. In my last video, I unboxed and swatched the Faber-Castell Pitt Artist pens. And I must say, I really like them so far. The colors are great, and the tip, although it's thin, is more on the harder tip side. It's great for lettering and coloring. Well, back to the quote. I wanted some flower-related quote and decided to write down, "Nothing in nature blooms all year. Be patient with yourself." Again, it is something to be reminded of every now and then. The bottom corner I wanted to look watercolor stained. Because this notebook has no watercolor paper, I used the same method as in the beginning for the background paper. I colored on the plastic sheet with the water-based brush pen and sprayed it with water. Then I placed the notebook page on it. I wasn't fully satisfied with the outcome. In my head, it looked somehow better and different, but it's still okay. I came back the next day and thought how I could fix that or how it would look better. No worries, I filmed that, of course, as well. You'll see it later in this video. Oh, and keep in mind that it could bleed through the page. In my case, it did. As it's the memory page on that it led through, I will cover mostly all of it with pictures, so it's not that bad for me. But keep that in mind. My next page is my calendar page. I outlined the calendar with this green Crayola and the inner lines with the ivory Pitt Artist pen, as well as the weekday title. And here you can see what I meant. As I said before, the letters are different sized. The O is the minusculous O. I checked it twice. The capital letter was even bigger. As you can see, I didn't like the look of it and covered it with some leftover paper. I decided to write the weekdays in handwriting script instead. I placed some dots for the numbers and wrote them with a white Secura jelly roll, first with a 05, but that looked too faint for my liking, and so I went over that with the bigger one. I think it's the size 10. I wrote April again with a pale pink brush pen and painted a drop shadow with the 005 liner and a Tombow N95. I cut the right side of the page again, this time a little bit slimmer as the one before. And then it was time to decorate the page with some flower doodles. I used the light gray Pigma Micron in 01 and colored the flowers with a light wash of the colors I used on the front page. The next page will be my habit tracker and content page. I started with writing the titles of the pages and marked the headers for the trackers with the light yellow Pitt Artist pen, or the ivory one. For the boxes, I used the green Crayola. I used the same design for the content planner. With the ivory, I placed 4 circles to check out. As always, they are for filmed, cut, audio and upload. In the box before, I will write down the planned date. Under that box, I have some place for notes. I've decided to draw another flat brush that draws spring flowers. As it's the same process as before, I spare you my explaining. After shadowing the title, we are done with these pages and can flip over to create the first weekly setup. This time I outlined the box with a yellowish acrylic liner. I wrote the title on an extra piece of paper and placed that on a ribbed coffee one. I wrote a mini calendar with the 005 liner and started lining every second line of the week box with this green brush pen. The lines in between I lined with the thin side of that pen. To create some delicate looking lines, I lifted the pen once in a while or placed a dot in between. For the weekday headers, I ripped some pieces out of the coffee stained paper and glued them in. For my painting on this side, I decided to draw a round brush this time. The rest I kept same and simple. The other weekly pages I will create off camera but we still have my shopping list page to create. In the same design as before, I create 3 boxes. I outlined 2 of them with a green pen and 1 with the acrylic one. For the lines within, I used the yellow and the pale pink Pit Artist pens. For the headers, I used some of these ripped papers again. I have a box of groceries, drugstore and online. I doodled some flowers on the upper corner. And finally, it was time to use this background paper from the beginning. I ripped a little piece of it and wrote the title on that. Of course, it needed some coffee paper as a background. And now it is time to bring some more spring on all these pages. Well, okay. On the cover page, I might have muted the spring. But with the coffee paper on the edge, I felt like the pages worked better in harmony. On the calendar page, I ripped an edge from the colored paper. And I think it fits the spring theme perfectly. I did the same on the content page, but this time in the bottom side, not at the edge. By the way, please ignore my missing nail polish. I went snowboarding this weekend and my nails didn't survive it. But hey, better the nails than the rest of my body, right? Just kidding. It was really fun. And I just love the mountain views. I really do. Oh, so nice. Do you do winter sports as well? Let me know in the comments. Oh, and as you can see, I created 2 tabs for the weekly pages and taped them with some washi. For the last tab, I used the coffee paper again to create continuity in the color palette. The last page would be my memories page, but for now, I don't have any time left nor a concrete idea. I might use these 2 papers, but I don't know yet. But maybe I will film it someday in the following week and post it on Insta. So make sure to follow me there as well. We are at the end of this plan with me. Let's flip through the pages one last time and see what we have created today. What is your theme this month? Are you recreating my setup? Let me know in the comments below. I really would love to know. And if you're recreating it and post some pages of it on Insta, please tag me so that I can see them. I would be happy to see them as well. If you're still with me, thank you for watching until the end. I hope you have a wonderful day and can enjoy the spring colors in the nature around you. Bye bye!